live, okay? All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
Good morning and welcome everyone to another edition of the Morning Brief with Tone Vase and Jimmy Song. Jimmy has fully recovered from his allergies and is looking happy. My name is Valentin Schmidt. I'll be your host, and we're going to get right into the FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt has rattled the Bitcoin markets because of this Reuters headline. South Korea plans to ban cryptocurrency trading. Rattles markets. Tone, is this even true?
Well, that's what everybody feared, and I guess the word that a lot of people were bothered by, hold on here, is the word raid. Basically, authorities raided certain exchanges, and as it turns out, with some tweets from Joseph Yang, that they weren't raided. They were just visited by the regulators. This is very similar to what happened in China when there was all this, scare about the Chinese exchanges being raided, but they weren't. The regulators showed up, and the end result of that was the exchanges can go on, but the fake volume was eliminated, right? And with another update right here, this was an interesting one. It's a very popular tweet going around Twitter, where it says, in an official announcement, South Korea government reaffirms there will be no trading ban for cryptocurrency markets in the short term, and nothing is finalized. And then it says, a petition to fire the head of the Ministry of Justice over the cryptocurrency trading fiasco filed. So looks interesting. Looks like it was not as bad as it sounds. And the big problem that they're going to have is the exchanges that are not KYC'd, right? Again, this battle. Like, do you want your exchange not to do KYC on its customers or not? Now, we all kind of want that. But in reality, an exchange that doesn't do KYC is a lot more likely an exchange that doesn't even KYC its own employees. And KYC means know your customer, right? So an exchange that doesn't go and identify their customers is usually an exchange that doesn't even go and identify its employees, and the CEO might not even exist, right? So when you trade in an exchange that doesn't take anybody's personal information, the probability of that exchange, A, running away with your money, B, being hacked by external means because, they're not really following any kind of regulation on security, or C, that exchange eventually being shut down by the government and everything confiscated, like in the case of BTC-E, are very, very high. So it's up to you to decide, like, what exchange do you want to trade on, and do you want government to be involved in overseeing that these exchanges are run properly? And that's a choice that you will have to make as a trader on one of these exchanges.
So that's it. Thanks to Joseph Yang. He has debunked this whole FUD. Actually, the regulators, as Tone says, they are proactive in Korea, but not malignant, not like in China. Very important to understand this. Before we go to Jimmy, Tone, can you comment on, will that help are they planning to remove some of that fake volume that is going on mostly in currencies like Bcash and Ripple?
I don't know. We'll find out, right? I mean, the Chinese volume was obviously fake. The interesting thing is, in Korea, there was some volume. It wasn't like 5 to 10x multiple like it was in China, but the prices in Korea seem to be unreasonably higher than anywhere else in the world. So the question becomes, were those prices real? Is it possible that the prices in Korea were like fake and like manufactured, like the volume in China was fake and manufactured? And with the government coming in and kind of cleaning it up a little bit, is it possible that all of a sudden, a month from now, when these exchanges, are under the eye of the financial regulator, that seems to be that hopefully will be okay with Bitcoin trading, is it possible that all of a sudden the prices seem to somehow magically fall in line within 1 or 2% of all the other global prices? I mean, you just don't know what's going on there. And it's amazing how, well, like I guess I was young and stupid back then when I was saying, oh, we don't need any regulation. Oh, what happened like with China? Like you have fake volumes, you have fake trades, you have fake prices. I mean, this space obviously cannot police itself because. So what do? What's the solution?
Jimmy, do you agree with Tone that we need the regulation?
No, I completely disagree. I think if you're trading on an exchange that's completely unregulated, that's on you, right? Like if you trust somebody with your money that isn't worthy of that trust, that's on you. You need to be wiser about where you put your money. I will say this about Korea. I have tried to execute some arbitrage over there, and it turns out to be fairly difficult, mostly because of the capital controls that they have. So you can't just transfer like $1 million from Korea to the U.S. That tends to be fairly difficult, and that's why that premium exists. I have registered for some of these exchanges in Korea as a result, and they all do KYC. They require passports or something, and for you, and they have a manual verification process for a lot of this stuff. So I don't think by any means they're unregulated. In fact, they're all really heavily regulated, and there's the fact, a lot of these regulators do these unannounced visits for a reason. It's to make sure that these companies are doing what the regulators say they should be doing. So. I mean, this seems like kind of very FUD-like. I will say, though, that I'm a little bit worried because the price seems to be reacting a lot to Korea news, the same way price used to react to China news. That said, I really hope that Korea does something disordering so Bitcoin can grow stronger and people not be so dependent on Korea volume to sort of sustain the Bitcoin trading. Obviously, the premiums in Korea seem kind of ridiculous. That ARB will go down. Same thing happened around May of last year when Bitcoin was trading at like something like 2,100 in the U.S. and like 3,800 in Korea. So premiums seem around like that general area of percentage ARB that you can get. But again, it's not very easy to execute. It is possible if you have a Korean bank account and can, get under the capital controls, but it's not very much per individual. I think there's something like 5 or 10,000 or I don't know, maybe even 50,000 that you can transfer as an individual, but that's it, right? Like you can't do much more than that. So you have to be very careful with these ARBs and make sure you can get the money out. That said, now might be a really good time to travel to Korea if you have some Bitcoin, because you can go sell it there and live, have a lot more money to spend.
Yes, and just in time for the 2018 Winter Olympics next month. Don't forget that. Bitcoin, chill out at the Olympics, and do some arbitrage. Okay, next story. So the Korean exchanges are being regulated. We don't know exactly how that's going to look like. We know that one exchange, is it regulated? Is it not regulated? Doesn't matter. It's adding 240,000 accounts per hour, or in 1 hour it added 240,000 accounts. We're talking about Binance here. Jimmy, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so Binance is a lot like Poloniex or Bittrex. They're an exchange that does mostly altcoin trading. And they apparently added a lot of customers. And this may have something to do with the fact that Bittrex and Poloniex are both not accepting new customers because they are under such heavy load. So between those two things, it's sort of this perfect storm of situations such that you have Binance.com, which is Hong Kong based, get like ridiculous numbers of people all around the world registering, and if you go to a lot of these like Hong Kong websites that do altcoin trading, Hong Kong is one of the friendliest business environments, so it makes sense that they would have sort of an international company there. I'm not surprised at all. Again, Bittrex and Poloniex are not really accepting new customers because they just can't handle the load. Somebody else that can is going to come and eat their lunch. It reminds me a little bit of what happened to AOL in the late 90s. They couldn't handle the load of people like coming onto the internet. And so like a lot of people connecting to the internet using AOL had problems. And we know what happened to AOL. So it's never really a good sign when a company can't scale, when their business model is all predicated on scaling. We're seeing that a lot from Coinbase, Poloniex, Bittrex. I still think, I've said this before, I still think the Google or Facebook of this industry hasn't really been made yet. And the company that manages to really be able to scale in a way that can take all of these customers and do it securely, they're going to win, and they're going to win huge.
Before we go to Tone, my good friend James, aka I Don't Like Bitcoin Rickards, he tweeted out this morning that he believes most of the exchanges, whether they are physically located in South Korea or China or Japan or whatever, he says they are all on Amazon servers. Is there any credence to that? Because that would pose a centralization problem, wouldn't it?
I mean, they might be. It's hard to know without like auditing their servers or something like that. But yeah, I mean, certainly cloud providers make it relatively easy to scale, but you do have that centralized point of failure. But I mean, you can use multiple cloud servers. I mean, like Microsoft Azure will like practically give it to you free if you just ask them nicely, because they want to compete against Amazon so bad. So you got that. You got other places. Google Cloud servers. So you can sort of distribute it that way. Transitioning from one to the other can be a little bit difficult-ish, although there are tools to make that much easier. So. I mean, it really depends on the tech team that's over there, and if you do have a centralized point of failure, then you need to rethink things and make sure you're not dependent on one vendor. That's just a good rule of business is to not rely only on one vendor.
So that means I have a problem because I buy everything off Amazon.com.
Well, if Amazon shuts down, then you're kind of in trouble, aren't you?
Oh, man, I'm in trouble. Okay. Tone, do you trade on Binance? Did you register one of those accounts, one of those 240,000?
So no, I'm actually not familiar with this exchange, and the only way I would register on this exchange is actually if they don't have KYC, because I don't like to connect my Bitcoin activity to my actual identity. So if they don't have a KYC process and all I need is an email, I probably would register with them, but I don't really need them until I decide to sell my Bitcoin Gold, because that's the only valuable altcoin I kind of hold just by default. But yeah, hey, I remember CZ back when he was the CTO of OKCoin. So I was always wondering what he started. It looks like he started his own exchange, the altcoin exchange. So this is interesting. Hey, good for them. I mean, if they're able to do it. So what are they out of Hong Kong? Because like it looks like he happens to be in Tokyo. But are they registered in Hong Kong? Is this a Hong Kong based altcoin exchange, Jimmy?
I believe so. And like they make it super easy for you to start businesses in Hong Kong. You could like literally open a business in like half a day. So I imagine that's why they're based there. And the laws are such that it's lightly or it is regulated, but it's much lighter than other jurisdictions. So it's advantageous to open an exchange there.
Yeah, we'll need to take a look. And the thing is, when it comes to scale, right? Okay, so honestly, the only way you can sign up to 140,000 people in 1 hour is if it's a fully automated system, which probably means they have no KYC process, right? I mean, there's a big difference between looking at somebody's passport, even digitally, and validating that, than just allowing someone to register with an email account, right? I think I answered my own question there.
Yeah, so there is a level where you can do it without any KYC, and I think that's under 2 Bitcoin. Bitcoins or something like that, withdrawal per day.
Per day.
But
that's a pretty damn good limit.
Yeah, anything anything higher than that, I think you have to give them your passport or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, a good withdrawal limit is like 5,000 a day. I think that's a good withdrawal limit. So sorry, ballers. I think that's a pretty good withdrawal limit, 5,000 a day.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, good to know. All right, let's move on.
So it wasn't Tone who was responsible for this. Now we get some good news in terms of scaling, which is SegWit wallet support. Jimmy, this is your specialty.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about nested SegWit versus native SegWit. So you could or wrap SegWit versus native SegWit. Wrap SegWit tends to be a little more expensive from a block size perspective. The transactions are a little bit bigger, and that's what most people use. They wrap SegWit transactions within pay-to-script hash because most wallets support pay-to-script hash already. What's interesting is this change also allows you to generate Bech32 addresses, which is native SegWit. Peter Wulla coded this back in September of 2017. He is now, it got merged 8 hours ago. So it's now going to be a part of the core wallet, which is amazing. You can now have native Bech32 addresses and save the 20 or 40 bytes that you no longer need to do versus pay-to-script hash versions of SegWit. Now you can just use the Bech32. So good news. Hopefully it becomes more popular and more people use it, and you're economically incentivized to, because that's however many Satoshi that you don't have to pay.
So basically, upon next Bitcoin Core, the Core wallet release, there will be Bech32 addresses in that by default, or is it still going to be like an opt-in?
It's an opt-in, I think, anytime. You have an address type. All right, so people are saying my volume's too low.
All right, hold on. I might be able to turn it up from my end.
No. It's my end. So, all right, let's see. My mic is too low. Yeah, I hear you guys. All right. So maybe that's better.
I can raise your volume, Jimmy.
Yeah, but that's only on your broadcast. My broadcast needs something else. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. What was your question? I got distracted.
Well, my question is, now that this is merged, the next wallet, the next Bitcoin Core node wallet that comes out, is Bech32 address is going to be the default one that shows up?
I don't think it'll be the default. It's an option that's there. And Core moves this way, right? Like they first make it an option, then eventually it becomes the default. But I don't think that's going to be there for at least another 2 releases.
Okay, and my other question is, does this help SPV phone wallets to get on the Bech32 address?
Only style. In the sense that it becomes more of a network effect where more people will want to use it because other people are using it. I don't know. It really depends. But I mean, like, there's no any wallet can implement Bech32 right now if they wanted to. It's just there's no sort of restriction from support from full nodes. Full nodes already support it. It's just a matter of wallets that need to upgrade their software to allow for it.
So that was an extensive discussion about the SegWit native support. We have another technical one about. Do you want to talk about that more, Tone, or do you want to go to the lightning?
No, I'm good. I mean, I started using SegWit addresses with a 3. I really want to start using SegWit. I really want to start using Bech32 SegWit addresses. So probably when I get back from Asia, I'm off to Asia for a month, but then I'll be in LA and DC for a couple of weeks. So when I get back home, probably late February, hopefully the new Bitcoin Core wallet has Bech32 addresses, and that's what I'm going to be using. Like I'll be almost forced to use my node for storing Bitcoin again versus others, right? I mean, like Trezor, Ledger, Green Address. I mean, sooner or later, hopefully, they will start using the Bech32 address style. But I mean, look, we're on the show every day. I mean, we got to lead the charge here, right? I mean, if we're not using it, why should other people?
Here's the thing, Tone. Not many wallets are going to be able to pay you if you give them a Bech32 address because they don't support it. So it's a network thing. So you could give them a BC1 address, and no one's going to be able to pay you unless their wallet supports it already, and that can be a little bit problematic.
Well, not really, right? Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is actually an interesting discussion, and it's a good one, right? So people still complain that Bitcoin is too expensive and too slow. And lately I started saying, you're right, I wish everyone stopped freaking using it so I can get my payments faster, right? So, please, right? So here's the other thing, right? They're going to have to, right? Because when you offer a product or a service like you and I do, Jimmy, and we're doing these seminars and we pretty much sell them out with 20 people. And there's going to be like, hey, listen, I'm going to sell this thing out. Either you figure out a way how to pay me in this thing or somebody else will. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? Like, look, the only way to get into my seminars is if you're using the Telegram Messenger. So yeah, you have to use the Telegram Messenger to get into my seminar because that's how I organize, right? So if you refuse to use the Telegram Messenger, that's fine. Then your seat at my seminar will just be taken by somebody that's willing to use the Telegram Messenger. Now, if Telegram Messenger goes ICO and becomes a bunch of crap, sure, I'll have to switch. But for now, it's like if you're able to create the demand, people have to use it.
Yeah, maybe. I would say, I'll just wait for more wallets to support it. Specifically, Trezor and Ledger. I think that would be huge because a lot of people like hardware wallets. Certainly, the new one from OpenDime. Hopefully, they come up with that cold storage. That hard wallet hopefully will also support Bech32. But you just need more wallets to support it, and it takes time.
I will say that I did get one payment from BC1.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. So someone paid me with it, and it was very confusing because, like, most of the block explorers could not recognize where the payment was coming from. But I did receive the Bitcoin, and I used green address to receive a Bech32 incoming address.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's a backwards compatible change. So anyone can you can send to anybody with any other kind of address if you're using a Bech32 input, but not everyone can send to you. So it's sort of.
Oh, okay. I see. I see. All right, I got it. Okay, I see the difference there now. All right, yeah. So we're gonna have to stay on this. I mean, we have to keep updating people on this because it's important. I mean, we need to go to this thing, especially if those same people are complaining that their transactions are too slow and too expensive.
I don't think you're gonna convince those people. They're not gonna stop complaining until Lightning is fully out there. So people will complain.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking about Lightning, let's move on.
Another story, and Jimmy, you can talk about that.
Yeah, I thought this was very insightful. Lightning Network enables unicast transactions in Bitcoin. Lightning is Bitcoin's TCP/IP stack. And what this might sound like technical gobbledygook, and I'll just sort of briefly explain. Right now, Bitcoin is a broadcast network, and that means that every transaction gets transmitted to every node, and that can be kind of inefficient, especially from a bandwidth perspective. And if you know anything about scaling, bandwidth is the biggest sort of bottleneck in scaling, period. So you need to make sure that the bandwidth is sort of minimized. What this is pointing out is that with Lightning, you don't have a broadcast. You only transmit the transaction to the other party, and that's it. Like, you have a point-to-point, peer-to-peer-ish sort of network, and that way you save a lot on bandwidth because you're not transmitting the same transaction to lots and lots of other nodes, and that can be much more efficient than Bitcoin, which is like sort of a broadcast, and you have to use all that bandwidth. And it goes on to sort of make analogies to TCP/IP and having peer-to-peer communication and things like that. And it's very insightful. I thought it was very good. And if you tend to be more technical, this is a very good read. So I would encourage you to take a look.
Tone, do you want to pull up your, telephone picture?
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that in a second. And by the way, guys, like all of these links to all of these articles are in the description of the YouTube video. So if you go to the YouTube video on my channel, there are. I'm assuming they are on Jimmy's as well. But on my YouTube channel, all of these links are in the description of the video. So go ahead and check out these articles and give them a read. And speaking of this relay network, so Beautyon had a really cool form just yesterday. And if you're not blocked by Beautyon, which seems to be a major problem these days, hey, Beautyon, unblock Jimmy Song, please. All right. And he was talking about how in the early days of telephones, the idea was to connect every telephone to every other telephone. So basically, there'll be a wire from every house to every house, which is kind of ridiculous. And that's what the telephone poles looked like in the beginning. And then it starts to look something like this. So again, at some point, optimization has to come in. And this is what he explains. This is what Bcash is trying to do by keeping Bitcoin it has to stay peer-to-peer, but it becomes grossly inefficient by having everyone connected to everyone. And this is why he explains why Lightning is good, because you will have these hubs that can act like relay networks. And the beauty is, like, there's all this fear that the only Lightning nodes that are going to be are banks. And that's ridiculous. I plan to be a Lightning node. I have no idea how to do that, but I also had no idea how to run a Bitcoin node at one point. But you figure it out, because these things are not that difficult and people are going to help you. Torgard, one of the new members of the Tonebase affiliate program, has their own Lightning node, and they're already talking to me about setting up a Lightning node, right? And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Next time I'm in town, I have a week, I'm going to figure out how to do that. Also talk to a couple of other people working on Lightning. Like, I want to have a Lightning node, like I have a Bitcoin Core node. So no one is stopping you from, being a Lightning node that can open and close channels. And yeah, maybe it's not going to be the cheapest thing in the world, but if you believe in decentralization and you can be this hub of activity that can, like, a small percentage of those transactions, and you're willing to put up the cost. Like, again, I am mining 24/7 with my one miner, and I'm mining at a loss. I don't mind that, right? I mean, I also have internet running at a loss because I'm home about 3 months a year. So that it's not really a problem. Same thing. I'm paying rent at a loss, right? I don't Airbnb my place out 9 months out of the year. It's just there. So lots of people will have no problem. So it will stay pretty decentralized. I'm not worried at all that every single Lightning node is going to be some kind of U.S. government spy. That's not true at all. There'll be plenty of what do you call them? The Pirate Bay is going to have a Lightning node. All of the gray market, websites, market sites, they're going to have a Lightning node. There'll be plenty of, Lightning nodes that you trust for anonymity, and there'll be plenty of them. It'll stay pretty decentralized. Jimmy, comments?
Well, wait, I'm getting it. Can you guys? Can you guys? All right, there you go. All right, so yeah, it is interesting, this analogy, and to some degree, I think it's accurate in the sense that when you have a broadcast network, it does tend to get really kind of crazy, and the amount of connections and the amount of bandwidth that you take up in doing that can be very, very inefficient. But that said, like, when you do have sort of what we have today, which are like centralized switches for telephones and things like that, now you have a single point of failure. You could take down the entire telephone system for an entire town by shutting down that system. So there is sort of that risk with Lightning hubs and things like that. If you have too many connections, then you need to route around it, and you need to make sure you have a route that goes around it. What you said about people running their own Lightning nodes, I don't really see them as banks per se. There's going to be a financial incentive to run these nodes because people will pay you to transmit them to other people, or you can be a business that gets more business because you're handling a free Lightning node or whatever. I think capitalism will play itself out. I think markets will play itself out. People will figure out like ways to make money off of this and run it for profit. I think that's always the best sort of motivation for people, not sort of altruistic, let's support the network kind of thing.
I agree, but that's the big fear, right? That's the FUD that's going down. The FUD is that the only organizations that are going to be able to afford and have the most incentive and to run one of these Lightning nodes is the traditional banks. And I think that's completely ridiculous. I think that competition will set in, and someone like you and I, or maybe an OG Bitcoiner with more Bitcoin, a lot more Bitcoin than us, is going to sit there and say, well, I'm going to undercut the banks. I don't need the money. I'm going to undercut the banks.
Maybe. I mean, but you can figure out ways to make money off of this. And the thing is, if you're a Lightning hub, you can more or less sort of stake your coins. So you do need to have your coins online, which tends to be like the big thing about the security around Lightning, being a Lightning node, is that you have to have your private key online because you need to sign stuff constantly. But that said, if you have the right security model around it, and this is still an area of research that everyone has to figure out. This is why if you run LND or whatever, they limit the amount of Bitcoin you can put into a channel. Once these things evolve and everyone has like sort of best practices around it, then it won't be it will be very secure, and you can sort of make money on it. I think like somebody will sell like Lightning Hub in a box, and you plug it into your router and you give it some Bitcoin, and then you watch your Bitcoin grow as you route different transactions. I mean,
so 21 was a little bit ahead of its time, right? They should have just waited for Lightning, huh?
Yeah, I totally think they should have. They've pivoted towards like some social network getting paid or something like that, which I don't know. Maybe that'll work, but I don't really think that's quite as interesting. But yeah, that's more or less the idea. And especially if you could do machine-to-machine payments, which Lightning I think would definitely enable.
Very good. Jimmy, the market will sort itself out. I'm definitely with you here. How about the Segwit adoption?
Well, picked up a little bit. All right, what's wrong with...
Yeah, Valentine, I don't know what's up with your internet, but something's going weird.
Yeah, we're getting robo voices again. I don't think it's me this time. Yeah. So this is our chart. It goes by blocks. Hey, it's ticking up a little bit. Maybe we should show this chart more often, right? Let's see if we can. We'll show it every day. Hopefully, the amount of witness size percentage. I mean, it's ticking up.
Wow, it's wait. Go down to witness size percentage. What is it? Oh no way, 10%. Wow, that's a lot. That means that means like 12 or 13%. Well, I mean that's a pretty high number. That's great.
Yeah. So there you go. So we're making a difference slowly. Let's tick that up. And mempool, I'm not sure. Let me refresh this. Actually, I haven't refreshed them yet.
Yeah, I think generally, I think the page self update. So if you got in yesterday, it did sort of, you can look at that gray area. It ate into it a little bit, and that gray area, I believe, is 100 to 140. So I think I recommended yesterday that you put in something like 150 to 200 Satoshis per byte. And that I think got you in there yesterday. If you need to do something on a daily basis, I would probably recommend somewhere around the same area, 150 to 200 or 140 to 200 Satoshis per byte. If you need something right away, you're probably going to need to pay 200 to 300, possibly a little more. But yeah, it's starting to come down. You can see that the high was like 6 days ago or about a week ago. It's starting to come down, and there's definitely been some drawdown in some of these, so that's a good thing.
Excellent. And of course,
my sound's so bad.
Yeah, your sound's still bad.
Okay.
Mine or
Valentine?
Yeah, Valentine, it's you this time.
Yeah. It's like round robin of internet problems.
So that's still loading. This is a trade block, and all right. So we'll let that load. What's up? Is mine bad now?
No, well, I don't know. It's funny that it's taking a long time. It could be just getting slammed too.
Yeah, so here we go. Right. So again, that goes in line with my rule of thumb. I would be paying about 130, 140 Satoshis per byte to get my transaction in. Hey, mempool only down to 10 megabytes, man. Based on a trade block, I believe they remove the spam transactions from this number. I like seeing this number in the 3 to 5 megabyte range. That's when I know that everything is running like a well-oiled machine. All right, let's get to the price. Took a little bit of a tumble last night, mostly while I was sleeping, so I kind of missed it all. And I don't know, we're still like, like here's what happens at this point in time, right? So everyone comes out saying that they were right and they called the top and they called the bear market. But then if we completely reverse in the next 48 hours and go back to near all-time highs, which we easily could, all of those people disappear forever, and then they reappear like a year later under different Twitter handles, right? So this is what you have to realize. Like which people have been talking about the price consistently and which people are just there per swing. So to me, like I said yesterday, the picture is starting to look pretty bearish. But when it comes to Bitcoin, if you're going to be shorting Bitcoin, you have to do it very strategically and very, very quickly, because things reverse very unexpectedly. Now, today is, of course, Wednesday. The week is slowly coming to an end. It'll be almost impossible for us to continue this weekly bullish trend. Actually, hold on a second. I need to... So in order for us to continue the weekly bullish trend, we would really need an all-time high close by Sunday. And I just don't see that happening. I don't see us rallying $5,000 between now and Sunday. And the picture is starting to look bullish. So, it's starting to look bearish. So you really have to start being cautious here. So this is what happened last night that I personally totally missed. Things need to close down here. Like there's nothing I can say as a trader, right? I mean, when the price of Bitcoin falls in 24 hours, down to $2,600, you have no idea if it's going to keep going or not. And right now, you are still below the 50-day moving average, but unless it closes there, you really can't assume that it's, the bear is upon us. Now, of course, if you're a trader, you were in the bearish trade, like I said, probably in the last video, that the bearish trade became possible at around 14,250, and that trade was very profitable at the low overnight. Did anyone exit? I have no idea. That's on you as a trader to decide at which point do you want to take your profit. Now, what I am looking for at this point is a daily 9, the 9 that we didn't get back at the end of December. At the end of December, we had at the end of December, we made it down to a red 7, and then the price reversed, and it gave us this triangle. And now we're on a red 4. Let's see where today closes, right? I mean, it's one of these weird candles where there's still 12 hours to 8 hours to go in a day, and it's already looking like a reversal candle, but it can still go back down there. So let's see what happens. I'm way more bearish on a daily chart now than bullish. Let's go to the 4-hour. Let's see if the 4-hour was useful. I mean, we had a little bit of a rebound off of this 9. I was hoping it would be a bigger rebound. It wasn't. Once the rebound failed after 1 to a 4-day correction when the price rebounded from the low on the 8th of January, we kicked off the countdown, and the countdown is currently sitting on number 7. So I am looking for a 13. hopefully this 13 will come with a 4-hour 9. So let's see if we can continue to slowly go down there and time a nice rebound. And finally, on the 1-hour chart, we did get, I talked about the bearish, the death cross, which is when the 50 moving average crosses below the 200 moving average. And ever since then, we did hit one of our 13 countdowns at 2200 hours last night. And that kind of set off a short-term rebound. Let's see where we go from here. Right now, there are no more countdowns. So the bearish trend on the hourly has pretty much been exhausted. We're now going up. We're running into the moving average again. We're on a 4 of 9. So let's see if we can get to that 9 and then set off one more down leg. But at this moment, I remain more bearish than bullish on the price. But let's see where this candle ends. And yeah, let's see. But I'm staying bearish. I'm gonna be offline, guys, because I'm flying to Asia. That's a 24-hour flight to Singapore. I gotta connect in Hong Kong. We may or may not do the show. Well, I may or may not do the show 24 hours from now. It depends if I can catch this show from the Hong Kong airport with decent internet. But other than that, my Singapore seminar is sold out, and the LA one, I may increase the capacity, but if the capacity is 20 seats, I'm pretty much down to 8 for LA on February 10th. And you can go ahead and start emailing me or messaging me on Telegram about reserving your seats for Washington, D.C. and New York. We'll start to get those going, looking for venues and stuff like that. All right, back to you guys.
That's not so bad.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Sorry, man. You're getting echo and like robo voice and everything. It's kind of a terrible combo. All right. So anyway, I think Valentine is sort of out of commission. So I Tone, you want to sort of help close us out or whatever?
Sure. Yes. Oh man, my last day in New York. Time flew. But yeah, off to Asia tonight, and I'll see a lot of you over there. I'll be in Singapore, then maybe find the beach in Thailand for like a week, and then we'll see. Back to Singapore. Lots of events going on. Yeah, it's pretty much. I will try to do a trading Bitcoin video later today because I don't know when's the next time I'm going to get to do it. So I'll try and do that later today.
Yeah, good stuff, man. And obviously, I want to like promote my hard forking business. If you want your Bitcoin Diamond, Super Bitcoin, Bitcore, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, whatever it is, I can help you go and get them. And like message me or text me or actually email me at jimmy@programmingblockchain.com, and I will be glad to help you. Anyway. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I hear there's a Brian Hoffman parody of the promo video I put up last night out on the internet already, so I have to go and watch that. But this song for now is done.
All right.